Hello, friends. I am so excited to be here. Here we are on the cusp of a new year, and I know that at this moment there are millions of smart, capable women who are making a New Year's resolution. They're trying to maybe lose weight, get in shape, one of those traditional ones. And the thing is, they've made it before. And if nothing changes, they'll be making it again. Now, we all know that the success rate of New Year's resolutions is pretty depressing. You can see 20%, 17%, 30%, see various percentages, and they're all well below 50%. So nothing for us to get excited about. And it's enough so that some women aren't going to make a New Year's resolution to do any of those things that they really want, but only because they're afraid of failure. And that's because history shows that, of course, it's inevitable that they'll fail. The intention of a resolution isn't a bad thing. It's the same as, for instance, on Monday, I will start, or when the kids go back to school, I'll start. So it's that type of resolution. It's all the same thing. The problem is that resolutions focus on behavior, right? So if we don't know how to control our behavior, and I'm not talking like white knuckling, deprivation, willpower kind of control, but long-term controlling our behavior, we're just going to keep repeating the cycle. So what I wanted to do is offer 5 new ways to think about the coming year. And instead of the old resolution style, let's do it a different way. You with me? Okay, I've got 5 things I want you to think about. First of all, what are this year's wins? Think about it. No matter how challenging or frustrating or maybe sad, I mean, who knows, there could be many things that happened this year that did not go the way that you wanted them to, that were completely out of your control and you find pretty depressing. No matter how challenging your year, you can always find wins. Now, wins are different than gratitude. So gratitude is great, practice gratitude. But I'm talking about, where did you win? And if it was a challenging year, maybe your win is that you freaking got through it. That's a big deal. Maybe you had a spectacular year. What were your wins? What led to that? So for me, I kept my promise to myself to start strength training again. So it's kind of funny because I'm a certified exercise physiologist. And I love to do cardio. We have an elliptical trainer here, and I absolutely love doing that. Well, love is a strong word, but I like cardio. That's my jam. I know how to do it. It's easy. And perhaps that's why I do it. But strength training is another thing. Something always gets in the way, and it's always a valid excuse. You know what I mean? So I kept my promise this year, and for the past 6 months, I've been consistently strength training, and it has created quite a transformation in my body. And just recently, I went skiing 2 days in a row with my brother and my 13-year-old nephew, and they were both looking at me like, "Wow, you don't do this regularly. Like, you're really keeping up and doing good." I'm all, "Yeah." And I know that it was the training that went into that. What else? You know what? Another win for me is that I stopped eating dessert. Now, this wasn't I can't have dessert, I'm white knuckling my way through it, I wish I could have it. That's not it, because I can have it if I want it. But I simply, about 6 months ago, decided to stop eating dessert and to deal with my desire for it. Because I often had that after dinner that, I need a little something. Do you ever experience that? But I don't have that anymore. So I really worked through that urge and that desire. That doesn't mean I'm never going to have dessert again. In fact, at Christmas time, I gave myself the sort of put in my plan that on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, if I wanted to eat dessert, I would. My sister-in-law makes wonderful scratch-made, homemade pies, apple, pecan, pumpkin, yum. And so Christmas Day, I did end up, I had a little bit, and I was like, wow, this is really tasty. But I didn't want any more. I didn't have this urge or craving that I had to have more of it. And so for me, it's been a real win to not have dessert be such a front and center, treat for me. But then I'm able to treat myself in other ways. And I'll be telling you more about this next year. So that's the first thing. What are your wins this year? Really focus on the wins. The second thing, what are this year's lessons? What are the lessons? What do you feel like was a struggle or a failure, and what did you learn from that? Because that is the lesson. I recently was on a call with Dr. Cheryl Richard, and she said that our successes and failures don't define us, but rather they refine us. And I thought that was absolutely beautiful, that it doesn't become a label of I'm successful or I failed, but rather that refining, that forging us in the fire of failure in this case. What do we learn from that? We become even better versions of ourselves when we learn from that. We don't let it stop us. So what do you learn from that? Let's see, what else did I want to make sure I said here? So here, let me tell you how this looked for me this year in terms of failures. One failure was I tried out a new client communication system. It didn't work. Going into it, I knew that there were a lot of limitations, but I couldn't figure out what all of them were until I got into it. But I was hoping that the cool features would be enough to outweigh it. 4 months in, it wasn't. Gratefully, I run my old system concurrently. I could go back to it, but it was a lot of time and frustration, and I was irritated at myself. But what I realized is that, you know, that old, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That goes a little bit into play here. But really that I was trying to make something fit that wouldn't. I wanted both things. I wanted what I currently had, and I wanted to add on the cool features of this other thing, but I couldn't do that. And I was trying to do that, and in the end, I wasted a lot of time, but gratefully back on track now. Another thing, was I thinking, is there something else that I wanted to share that I had done? Oh, yes. Not one thing in particular, but I'm really big on protecting time. What am I doing with my time, and what am I saying yes to? And my lesson was that I really started saying yes to too many good things. And as you know, good is the downfall of the great. So I'm saying yes to too many good things, and that starts spreading myself thinner than I want to. And it's hard to say no to good things because, well, hello, they're good things. So my lesson is I need to be looking at that more regularly, and not just asks from other people, but I also noticed that I would spend time on things that weren't moving me towards the things that I wanted to accomplish. So if I'm not continually spending time on something that's moving me forward, even if that means downtime, so I'm not saying push yourself 24/7, but I call it piddling. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever piddle away a half an hour, 20 minutes, 3 hours? So I noticed that I piddle time. So ultimately I need to protect my time from myself, because I'm the one that says yes when I need to be saying no, or when I need to be making myself do difficult things or uncomfortable things and not simply piddle around. So those were my lessons. Number 3 is, what do you want more of in the new year? So consider that. What do you want more of? Is it maybe more energy, vitality, more health, possibly downtime? Time with your significant other or your husband, maybe more plant-based meals. That was mine a couple years back. So what do you want more of? Maybe there is a mindset that you want more of, that you want to encourage more feelings that are positive feelings, like maybe confidence, love, or peace. So what does that look like? Here's what I want more of. I want to share more with all of you. I want to give to you, whether or not you ever become a client, whether or not you ever pay me a penny, it doesn't matter. My desire is that that what I do has a transformative effect on your health, your body, your weight, your life. That's what I'm here for. And so I'm going to do this by showing up more, sharing more of myself, and being even more authentic. I started doing that earlier this year with my Monday Coach Minute. And so if you're a subscriber, you see that regularly. And I have even more planned next year that I cannot wait to share with you. So that's one thing. What do you want more of in the new year? Number 4 is, you might guess, what do you want less of in the new year, right? So think about what you want less of. What does that look like? Maybe less drama, less overeating, less overdrinking, less TV watching, less complaining, less gossiping. Maybe it's a mindset that you want less of, like a mindset that leads to feeling defeated or envious or less than. There's a mindset that you would want to turn around. I'm going to share with you a mindset shift that I made some time back. July 1st of 2017 was the very last day that I did a full 100% color cover on my hair. I had a handful of reasons, like, I wanted to spend less time and money at the hairdresser, or I wanted to stop like powdering my hairline in the morning. I'm like, I'm a grown woman. What the flip am I doing? But honestly, I wanted to think less about my age. That was it for me. And here's the backstory. In the year 2000, I'm sitting in a networking meeting. This is right after I got married. And I'm sitting next to a therapist, and we're having this conversation about aging and women and all of this. And she says to me something I'll never forget. She said, women in our culture, a woman's beauty or a woman's power is in youth and beauty. And I was like, I'm in my early 30s. Nice. And I really ingrained that as being true. So that beliefs are what drive our behavior, right? So if beliefs drive behavior, that belief drove my behavior, one, of hair coloring, not just, and see, the thing is, hair coloring is not bad. I'm not condemning hair coloring. If you color your hair, like your reason for doing it. That's really my point here. So coloring my hair was keeping that belief alive, and actually it was a self-feeding type of thing. I needed to work through that in order to change my behavior. So I had to work through that thought process to get me to that place where I could change it. Again, not a condemnation of hair coloring, not at all. This was me deciding to be less driven by how old or young I look, but rather to look and be my best self. And it turns out that gratefully, I can do that without powdering my hairline in the morning. Whatever your less is and whatever your more is, it's going to stem from your thoughts and your beliefs. So whatever you decide you want less of, whatever you decide that you want more of, go back to what it is that's going to bring about that behavior. What are the thoughts that you need to work on? So what you should have by now, here are the 4 things. You want to know, what are the wins from this year? Okay, so write those down. Actually take time to write those down. What are your wins? This goes beyond gratitude. What did you win at this year? And particularly if it was a hard year, how did you come through it? Because you did, you're resilient. Number 2, what are the lessons that you learned this year that you're going to take with you into the next year? Number 3, what do you want less of? Really dig into that. What do you want less of in the new year? And then 4th, what do you want more of? I think I might have even reversed those. More, less, less, more. It's all, you know what I'm talking about. Now, here's the 5th thing I want you to do. How do you envision yourself a year from now, on the cusp of the next new year? I want you to think about that. Take some time, write all of these things out. And here's the thing too, the turn of a clock is nothing more than how we tell time. So doing this work January 4th is no less valuable than having it ready to go on January 1. So that doesn't matter. Take the time that you need to get this done, but don't wait for it to be perfect. Just take the time and do it. Take the space. Your vision, however you want to be at the cusp of the next new year, it's got to be compelling, and it needs to evoke an emotional response from you. If it doesn't, keep digging. Okay, you want to have this vision of you on the cusp of the next year. What is all that you've learned, that you've taken with you? What difference has that made? What is the less, the more? What are the wins? What are you celebrating? And feel that, truly feel that on the cusp of the next new year. And then what I want you to think about is what needs to be different for you to work towards and to reach that vision 1 year from now. I guarantee you that you have at least 80% of the information that you need to get there. And you know what? If you applied it, you would blow your freaking mind right now. If you applied 80% of what you know, you would just be blown away. But here's the thing, you know that it's not about the information. It's about the application of the information. And so if what creates behavior is what's also stopping you, no amount of willpower is going to overcome that force. So if you want to make this year different, if you want to follow through and blow your own mind, then let's have a conversation. You can get on my calendar. You can do that at weightbreakthrough.as.me. And during our conversation, we'll talk about three things. One, we're going to look at what do you want and what's possible for your health and your body. Secondly, let's talk about what's getting in the way. And then third, we'll decide together what the next best steps for you are. So this could be a fit for you if maybe you're ready to make it a priority. Maybe you've committed to change and you're having a hard time sticking with it, or possibly you're ready for a higher level of support. If this sounds like a fit for you, then schedule time on my calendar right now. Just go get it on the schedule, even if it's a couple weeks from now, you'll know it's done. So I really look forward to connecting with you. And whether you decide to have a conversation or not, I know that these 5 things, if you go through this, that they will really, if you take them seriously, they will help you to have a transformative year, whatever that means to you. And so share with me if you have any questions while you're watching this, because I assume there will be a lot of you watching this replay. Leave them for me in the comments and I will get back to you on this. But take this and use it to have the best year that you want to have coming up. And blessings as you ring in a new year of possibility. Bye for now, my friends.